Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video for you guys. In this video we're going to be going through Gambit, just explaining what the movie is going to entail and different issues that the movie's gone through, as well as what we should expect in the movie. So just basically going through everything you need to know about Gambit that's coming out in October 2016. So I'll just give a bit of a breakdown of who Gambit is, just because some people might not be familiar with who he is. Now Gambit is essentially a thief. Now he's from New Orleans, and we did see that in the Wolverine, the Origins movie. Now, one of the traits of Gambit is that he's a really charming character, and he actually can get out of really tense situations just using his charm. But one of his main abilities, I guess, is the fact that he can just charge objects with like telekinesis, which basically makes them explosive and can do a lot of damage. And one of the objects he uses a lot of the time to make explosive are playing cards, which once again we did see in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. Now, with all these different abilities, he actually is a pretty powerful mutant, and he's probably could match anyone out there. Now, as I said before, we did see Gambit in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, played by the guy from John Carter. I think it's Taylor Kitsch. I might be pronouncing his name wrong there. Now, he was actually one of the strong points of that movie, so I wouldn't have been really angry if he was the one that actually went and did the spin-off movie, but they've chosen Channing Tatum, and there's an interesting story behind that. They were actually going to make a X-Men movie. I think it was the X-Men 3 movie that Bryan Singer was going to do, but he ended up doing Superman Returns, and Channing Tatum was actually going to play Gambit in that movie, in the third X-Men movie, if Bryan Singer directed it. So he was actually going to be Gambit from the start, but obviously he couldn't, and in the spin-off I'm not too sure what happened there, if maybe he was unavailable to do the play the part in the Wolverine movie. But yeah, so Taylor Kitsch took the role, and I think he did a pretty good job, but unfortunately he wasn't even considered for the role as well. Now, the guy directing is actually Rupert Wyatt. He's actually the guy that made Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so that was a pretty good movie. I don't think anyone can really complain of that movie. It was a pretty decent movie, and I'm actually excited to see what he can produce and how he can portray Gambit. One thing that needs to be confirmed is that Channing Tatum or Gambit will not be making a cameo in X-Men Apocalypse. This could be a massive G-up, and he might just be lying just to make the element of surprise if Gambit does show up. But I think with the timeline, I think they're going to make Gambit more in the modern time, where like basically the end of Days of Future Past, Wolverine wakes up. I think that's where they're going to set the Gambit movie, around that time period, not back in the 80s where the X-Men Apocalypse is taking place. So, and he actually answered a question in like a Cajun accent, which is he's going to be using that Cajun, I think it's Cajun, you know, like the New Orleans accent that Taylor Kitsch did as well in the Wolverine movie. He's actually answered that in an interview and said, "No ma'am or sir, I definitely will not. I can't do it, I'm Australian, I have no idea how to do it." But yeah, like an accent like that, like a New Orleans accent. Now, Belladonna will actually be in this movie, who's basically used to, I don't know how they're going to play in the movie. They're probably going to play her as the enemy. They might have like a flashback of them as love interests, but she's also like an enemy some of the time. So I think they might be together. I think there might be like a love-hate relationship. Like sometimes they're feuding, sometimes they're making out. Who knows what's going to happen there? But she's going to be, and she's being played by Léa Seydoux. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I might be wrong there with the pronunciation, but she's going to be in the movie, and yeah, should be pretty awesome. Now, it's actually pretty interesting because Gambit's going to have a much bigger budget than Deadpool. Now, you think Deadpool will be the one that had a bigger budget, just because this movie's been pretty anticipated, because obviously, like the leak, well, not the leak, but like the test footage and stuff like that, and a lot of people know about this movie. But I think it's just because Channing Tatum is in this movie, he's such a big thing now, Channing Tatum, that they will put this money. I think they've put around 140 to 150 million towards this movie, and I think the Wolverine movie that came out a couple of years ago, the one in Japan, like the Wolverine, had about just over 100 million. So this is how much they are putting into this project, and I think Gambit's going to be a massive success. Now, the only thing that Fox might be going through their heads is that Channing Tatum did leave the project at one time and then came back into it. But I think maybe they reassured him that this is going to be a thing that's going to even boost your career up even more. Now, as I said before in my last video, which was actually a top 7 movies from Marvel or DC coming out in 2016, I did say that that Gambit was actually coming out in October, and I wasn't sure because of all the Channing Tatum leaving, Channing Tatum coming back, some other issues, whether they're going to get that movie out in time. But they're meant to be filming in October/November, so towards the end of October, beginning of November, they'll start shooting this movie in New Orleans, obviously, because I think it's just smarter to film where it's based. Obviously, it just makes more sense. But because of this, we should get some probably some set photos and stuff like that, like Channing Tatum in his outfit. Who knows if he's going to be really faithful to the comics. X-Men, like most of the X-Men movies have been a bit loose with their adaptations with the costumes and their different outfits and stuff. X-Men Apocalypse seems to be bringing really traditional, like paying complete attention to detail from the comics, especially with Psylocke's outfit. Like that just looks even not that good, just looks like a 2-year-old made it. I don't want to be too offensive, but hopefully they get it right. Hopefully just like a trench coat. Maybe the head thing, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe we might leave that out. But like similarly, it needs to look like Gambit because I think Channing Tatum actually suits it really well. So leave any thoughts in the comment section below. What are you most looking forward to in Gambit? Honestly, I'm just looking forward to just Gambit. I like Gambit. I think he was one of the coolest characters in the animated series. I think he was done really well in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. And I think if the rest of that movie was so much better, like we could have got a Gambit spin-off so much sooner. Like even like it could have been out by now. I'm not talking about like coming out this year. Like it could have been out like 2 years ago. So I'm just really excited to see Gambit along with Deadpool and stuff like that coming out next year. A lot of X-Men related movies coming out next year. So it should be pretty interesting. Won't expect a cameo in X-Men Apocalypse, but because Hugh Jackman is actually leaving the whole X-Men franchise, he's only doing the Wolverine 3 and then he's gone out of the building. Channing Tatum could step up and he could actually be like the lead man in this X-Men series if they decide to, you know, carry it on after the next couple of X-Men movies. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. So yeah, leave any thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're new. I will catch you later. Goodbye.